one must fight and not let anything get in the way, so that tomorrow we become great.
For her to be like Barbara Banda tomorrow, I make sure I protect her today.
Trust Hygienics to protect your everyday. Hygienics. Protection today, greatness tomorrow.
My family has always been a generation of dreamers. That's why when I saw how my little boy loved to play with kites, I knew it was time to stop dreaming and start investing towards a reality that would make my son's dream to fly come to life. When it comes to investing, it doesn't matter how small you start. What matters is that you start. Because I invested in something long-term, my son is no longer flying kites.
Good morning, passengers. Welcome aboard this flight. I'm your pilot for this flight. We have got taxi and we'll be taking off in the next few minutes. Thank you.
Money grows. Be a part of the generation of future investors by investing in stocks and bonds on the Zambian capital market. The Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting investors in the capital market.
Hello there, welcome to another edition of Money Mysteries. Thank you so much for joining us. And we understand that the Money Mysteries series is an investor education initiative produced by the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The program aims to enhance financial literacy, promote responsible investment, and strengthen public confidence in the capital market, and is derived from the Money Mysteries WhatsApp series launched last year by the Commission itself. It combines dramatized episodes to deliver practical lessons on key investment principles, risk awareness, and regulatory protection. Now, the series is structured around 5 thematic episodes, each designed to address a specific area of investor education. And tonight is nothing strange from what we are going to be discussing, and we're pretty much looking at the basics around diversification, and this is with relation to the investment basics. So this is something we'll get to discuss with Study Mugala, who is the Manager of Financial Inclusion and Education from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Welcome to it. My name is Justin Mulenga. You, the viewer, feel free to be interactive with us as well via our Diamond TV online Facebook page, where we are streaming live from. They would like to hear from you as well with those comments that you have for us. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Justin. Good to be here.
Indeed. Let's kick it off really with you just recapping with us from the most recent episode 2, very insightful, and we did have a conversation around a lot of fraudulent activity that is centered around scamming, for lack of a better term. But this is what we did look at from the previous episode. Just recap with us the importance of why people should be alert and aware of where they're investing their monies.
Yeah, so we did look at red flags, how people can identify red flags and how they can identify scams. Just if anything is promising to be too good to be true, they really need to be aware of such things. So that's what the episode focused on. Yeah.
And today you could also just bring us up to speed with what we are focusing on with relation, obviously, to the most recent episode.
Okay, so today we'll be focusing on investment basics, what you need to just do before you start your investment journey, and also with focus a bit more focus on diversification. So we'll be looking at things like, in order for you to start your investment journey, you need to define your financial goals first. What exactly are you planning for? What do you want to save for or to invest for? What are you looking at? What are your your targets. What's your target? Yeah. Then we'll also be able to understand, to look at your risk tolerance. Before you start your investment journey, you need to look at what's your risk appetite. What can you tolerate in terms of risk? So before you place your money in a particular product, look at what risk it offers and what stage you are in your life as well. Yeah.
Who's an investor? Can I be an investor? Am I one who can equally be part of these basics in investing where I'm sure of?
Yes. So an investor is anybody who wants to take part in an investment product. Okay, so if you look at our tagline, our job as Securities and Exchange Commission is simply to protect investors in the capital market, meaning the customer for us in the capital market is the investor. So anybody who wants to participate in the capital market is called an investor. As long as you'd like to put your money in an investment product, you're then considered an investor. So even somebody who's not yet an investor is a potential investor. If you're not yet investing, you're a potential investor to us, and that's why we'd like to do financial education such as this one.
Financial education, very important, and I think that this is the basis of this particular series, this Money Mysteries series, as we're looking at financial literacy, among other things. But let's talk further about investment here and how the Securities and Exchange Commission does come in. And you've indicated something around the capital markets. Let's speak more on what the prerequisites are for one to be considered, an investor by yourselves, SEC.
So to be considered an investor is simply you participating in a particular product. Okay, so maybe what we should be asking is, what are the questions you should be asking when you're a potential investor or if you'd like to invest? You'll be finding out if the product that you want to invest in is licensed or regulated by the Commission. So before you make your investment, you need to find out if that product is licensed or regulated or authorized, and also if the intermediary who's going to invest on your behalf is also licensed. So that's also something you need to do as an investor. Ask the right questions, make sure you do your due diligence, do your research, find out what are the benefits of this product, find out the risks associated with the product, then you can start your investment journey. Yeah.
One would also say that this process might seem a bit too complex, hence you get to see people shy away from coming through to the Securities and Exchange Commission. But really, would you say that this process is as complex as many make it seem?
No, it's not complex, and most people think capital markets is just for the elite. So what we're trying to do with things like the Money Mysteries and any other investor awareness campaign that we're running is to demystify the capital market and make it as simple as possible. So anybody can participate, even the marketeer. We have products in the market that are suitable for any person, and any amount of income that you have is able to get you an investment in the capital market. So it's not as complex as it may seem. We are trying to bring it home to just make it for the average Zambian so that anybody can participate.
I love that you talk about how inclusive the capital markets are, and you have talked about the frequently asked questions here. What has the reception been like, especially for those who have come forward and said, look, I'm not knowledgeable about this. I would like to get my products onto the market. What do I need to do? What sort of reception have you received? And can you say that this has led to the fruition of people now being on the capital market and invest efficiently?
Okay, so in terms of one coming to the market to bring their product, that's looking at you coming to use the market to raise funds to grow your business. So yes, we do have a registration process that we do as a commission, where you come to the market and there's the process that you need to go through in order for you to register, let's say, your securities, and you want to raise funds from the market. So we have different platforms. We also have an alternative market in the capital markets, where even small to medium enterprises can still come to the market and raise funds for their businesses.
How do you detect some of these red flags of potential investors who once are officially given a license to participate in the capital markets then deviate or divert rather into doing something that seems to be or is considered fraudulent?
Okay, so this is if I get you right, you're speaking to the intermediaries who are in the market, who once were licensed and then they deviate and start doing other things.
Yes.
So as the commission, it's our job to protect investors, like I said. So how we do that, we do monitor the activities of all the intermediaries that are participating in the market, that are offering products in the market. So firstly, before they start offering the products, their products are authorized, okay? So once those products are authorized, we do continuous, they have to go through continuous obligations where they need to submit certain documents to us on a continuous basis so that they continue to be fit and proper to operate in this market. Things like your financial statements have to be declared, and, you know, so they have to go through a process where every other time they are reporting back to us and we are monitoring them. We are doing surveillance checks. We have to keep monitoring their operations so that they are still in good standing, and that way they do not deviate from what they intended, what we authorized in the first place, and what they intended to offer to the public, to you, the average investor.
What steps do you take if you detect that somebody is not following through with the required prerequisites, and that this is the intermediaries that you have here? What's the next step that you take as Securities and Exchange Commission?
Okay, so if we detect, or so firstly we have to monitor. We do some monitoring. Then there's a team that does investigations at the commission that will go and investigate what exactly is being offered by this particular institution or firm. Are they sticking to what they had agreed to do? If not, there are certain steps that our investigation team does, as well as our surveillance team does, just to monitor what exactly they are doing.
And if at all you find this entity or institution wanting, does this result into the suspension or revoking of their license to participate in the capital market?
Yes, we do have things like that. You're either fined, or we can actually revoke your license or issue a public censure against what you're doing. Yeah.
I'd like to understand, we've talked about the investment basics here, but let's speak more on how we can underscore diversification. Maybe you'd like to bring us up to speed with regards to that.
Okay, so in terms of diversification, what that simply means is putting your investments or spreading your investments across different asset classes. That way, you'll be reducing your risk or mitigating your risk, okay? There's a saying that says, do not put all your eggs in one basket. That's exactly what diversification is simply doing. It's simply helping you to spread your risk so that in the event of loss, you're not losing out completely, because you'd have spread your investments across different asset classes. So in the capital markets, I'll give an example. We have various products. We have your shares, we have your bonds, we have your collective investment schemes. So instead of you just investing in one particular product, you would have invested in, let's say, all three. Okay? What that does is, in the event that one of these assets or these securities is not doing fine, you can benefit from the others that are going to do fine at a particular time. And that way, you are mitigating your risk of loss. So that's simply what diversification is, spreading your risk.
Would you say that this is a common practice within the capital markets here in Zambia? Would you say this is something that many investors tend to do?
Many informed investors, yes, they get to do that. But there's some that do not know this information. So that's why we're just trying to inform them and educate them that you can diversify. And if you're not sure of, let's say, the benefits or the risks associated with a particular product, you're better off speaking to a licensed investment advisor who can give you advice on where you can exactly place your investments.
Where can one have access to all this information? If I'm an investor, can I walk up to your offices and say, this is something that I need assistance with, and you'll be able to assist me adequately? Yeah,
so we do have an open door policy. You are free to walk into the commission offices. We're situated on Great East Road, corner of Great East and Libala Road. So you're able to walk into there and just speak to us if you have any questions regarding any product in the capital market or how to participate in the capital market, be it if you're a company or an individual. Also, we have our website where you can also access this information. That's www.seczambia.org.zm. Then also our Facebook page, You can visit us on our Facebook, we're on all the social media platforms actually. So you can also get information there, and we interact with our public.
I'll speak to you more on that. I'm very much interested also in seeing how efficient the response is, but also I understand that we do have short films that we get to play on this very series just to give a number of scenarios for people to get a clear picture, and that we're not just conversing and speaking the way we are. And we get to take a listen, in fact, to this short film right now, and thereafter we get to analyze and discuss further what is being talked about from this film. Let's take a listen.
Have you seen how well our collective investment schemes are doing this month? I love how you can see everything in one place.
I'm so glad you noticed that. Imagine us not engaging a professional fund advisor.
Yeah.
You would have been impressed. Serious pressure, I'm telling you.
We would have probably rushed into making some risky investments, but with these, they're transparent, they're regulated, which means you know exactly where your money is going.
Very true. And the results are very visible. Very visible. We started very small. Small investments. Each month. Very little.
Yeah.
And remember what we learned. Small saving, big money.
That's right. You know, another thing that I like about them is how they encourage you to not put all your eggs in one basket.
True.
Because look at us. Did we ever think that we'd be the kind of people about stocks, bonds, collective investment schemes? Because being at the chitape form win, nisha yambia balance.
And the experience taught us.
Yeah.
To be checking, could you go in our Securities and Exchange Commission?
Yeah.
Okay? Before you make any investments, you check if the investment is registered with them. Otherwise, we end up putting our money in wrong and unregulated funds.
But with this situation, there's no luck or quick returns.
Sure.
It's about planning,
for sure,
patience, and protecting what you've worked so hard for.
Very true. And you know, very basic. Just following the steps, very, very basic. Small investments here and monitoring them.
And here we are. We're working towards a secure future for Mumbi and for ourselves.
True that. And Securities and Exchange Commission, they've put it nicely. There's no genius. You don't have to be genius to have a financial future.
That's true.
Yeah. All you need is just a plan.
That's true.
Yes. Start with a plan.
Yeah.
Then the rest falls in place.
At one point, my husband almost fell for one of those get-rich-quick schemes. But thanks to the advice of the Securities and Exchange Commission, we checked to see if the company was registered. It wasn't. We dodged a bullet.
Watch out for the next episode. This movie is sponsored by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the regulators of capital markets in Zambia.
back. Thank you for staying with us. In case you're joining us, this is the Money Mysteries series, and one of the things that you just took a listen to or watch is a short film by the Securities and Exchange Commission. They're just indicating how you can underscore diversification within the capital markets, and that's in fact the topic we're looking at this evening: investment basics and underscoring diversification. We have in studio with us the Manager of Financial Inclusion and Education from the Securities and Exchange Commission in Madam Stali Mugala. Let's continue this conversation, and I did leave you with a question mark before we got to play that short film, and we'll get to that a little later. But I'm more interested in just speaking more about diversification and one protecting their portfolio when some investments underperform. I know we spoke about this much earlier. Again, maybe you could just re-emphasize, because this is what is talked about within this short film, that particular scene where the characters mention, being advised not to put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, so diversification is really spreading your risk across different asset classes, okay? So when I say asset classes, what I mean is different products that are found in the market, okay? The different product. So in the case of the short clip that we saw the couple talking about collective investment schemes. So what collective investment schemes do, they do that diversification for you. They have spread your investment into a fund. So the fund is managed by a fund manager. So this fund manager's job will be then to shop around and pull different assets into one fund and make that investment for you. So instead of you just investing, for example, in shares, what the fund has done, it has invested in the different asset classes. Like you're saying, in the event that one underperforms, you can get to benefit from the good performance of another asset within the fund that you've invested in. So diversification is simply helping you mitigate your risk so that you have a buffer against you losing out completely. And that's one of the benefits, and that's something that the collective investment schemes offer to investors.
You've brought up the aspect of a fund manager. Maybe you could delve deeper into just that, because we've talked about one investing into the capital markets, and now the fund manager comes into the picture here. Who and what is a fund manager?
Okay, so a fund manager is a person that is licensed by the commission to run a fund. A fund is authorized to run a fund on behalf of investors and manage this fund for you. They'll be making investments for you. So we license those. So they get a license to do that work. So what they'll be doing is searching for the best kind of investments, making a fund or building a fund for investors that can yield the best returns for them. Okay? So they are licensed and they are professionals who are trained and are fit and proper to work in the market and give investment advice. They also do risk profiling for individuals to just check your risk appetite to see how tolerant you are to risk. So then based on that, they'll advise you to say, okay, this particular fund will work for you because of your risk appetite or your risk tolerance.
So on the capital markets, we also have what is known as issuers.
Yes.
Who is an issuer? Maybe you can also indicate to us.
Okay. So the issuer is the companies that have come to the market to list their securities. So these are, for example, your listed entities. Those are issuers, or issuers of corporate bonds and bonds, or those are called issuers, meaning they've come to the market to raise funds. That's who you call an issuer. Right.
And this issuer obviously is then the one providing this service to the investor.
No. So the issuer is simply providing the securities that one can invest in. Okay. So they've brought their, for example, I'll give an example. ShopRite is an issuer. They've issued shares on the market.
Right.
Okay. Zambia is an issuer. They've issued shares to the market. Then you have a broker who then buys the shares on behalf of you, an investor. Okay. They'll buy on your behalf because you can't go to the exchange to buy the shares directly. So you do it through a broker. So the broker is like the intermediary between the issuer and yourself. The company, the stocks that are listed, and yourself as an investor. Okay. Then the fund manager, on the other hand, works with by pulling the different resources from various individuals and making a fund and invest on behalf of the individuals. So we have various intermediaries in the market. The broker as well as the fund manager are some of the intermediaries who invest on behalf of investors.
It's not possible for one to invest without the broker?
Oh, that's a very good question. So we now have a Luce app, an app where you can invest on your mobile phone. Okay, so in the market we've noticed that most people need to they do not want to go through a broker. They feel that's a bit tedious and whatnot. So in the event that you do not want to use a broker, you can use your mobile phone. You download your phone on the Play Store, and you'll be able the app on the Play Store, and then you'll be able to make the investments on your own. You'll be able to see the stocks that are listed, and you can make the investments. I'm
intrigued by that, and what will now lead me. My next question is the aspect of technology at this point, because we've talked about diversification, but you've brought up something very interesting around tech. So what then does tech do when we speak about diversification? How is it made much easier for the investor at this point? Yeah,
so it makes it easier for the investor because they do not have to walk directly into a brick and mortar place to make their investment, for example. They don't have to go through the broker. So meaning we'll be able to reach more people because of tech. So we have different intermediaries in the market. Apart from the Luce app, you can also use other fund managers that have taken advantage of tech, and they are able to, they have platforms where one can buy units in the market using a mobile app. Okay, so they're able to buy. That way we can reach more people across the country, because if you notice, most of our brokers are centrally located here in Lusaka. But through technology, we're able to reach people even in the rural areas, that as long as they have a phone, they're able to make transactions and investments in the market.
Right before the short film played, I had left you with a question mark, and this was centered around how effective and efficient the feedback is. You mentioned the number of platforms and ways that a potential investor can engage yourselves, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I'd like to understand how timely your feedback is. But at the same time, you bring up the aspect of those that are within rural Zambia. How have you been able to engage some of these individuals, some of these people who might be interested in wanting to invest in the different opportunities within the capital markets? Okay,
so I'll start with the feedback. We do have a service charter where we have outlined how long we should take to respond to, example, a complaint or something. So we do have a stipulated time on when we should be able to respond to our complaints. For example, I think for complaints, if I get my figures, my information correct, it's about 30 days we should be able to respond to your query, your complaint. So firstly, maybe before I even talk about the complaint directly to us, how you firstly complain. If you have a complaint against a particular intermediary, your first line is to talk to your intermediary. First you engage them, and then after which, if there's no feedback or response from them, then you escalate to us. So what we'll require from you at the time you are lodging your complaint, for example, is to demonstrate that you did first start with your intermediary. You did go to your broker or your fund manager and then lodge your complaint. But we will get back to you within that particular time if you send your complaint to us in writing. Okay. Then speaking about how we can reach rural areas and what we are doing as a commission. So we have various awareness programs that we are doing, one of which is our capital markets national debate. So this debate is focused on youth in tertiary institutions. So what we've been doing is going through all the 10 provinces. So we recently recently launched the first debate in the Eastern Province. So in Eastern Province just last week. The next week we'll be going to Western Province. So we'll pass through all the 10 provinces, engage the youth in some financial literacy activity. Firstly, we'll talk to them about capital markets, educate them about the products and the benefits of investing for themselves. And then at the end of about 10 months, in October, what we're going to do is have all the winners from the various provinces come together and come up with a national winner. The idea is simply to foster capital markets information, and also to encourage the youth to participate, because they're one of our target groups under the National Strategy for Financial Education.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on, and now I'd like to talk about verification. This is something that I had discussed in the previous episode 2 of this Money Mystery series, and one of the things that I'd like to ask is why it's important for a potential investor to verify every platform or product with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
So why you are doing that verification is so that you are sure of where you're placing your hard-earned money. Like we stated earlier, there's a lot of fraud out there. So if you do not verify where you're placing your money, you might end up losing. So you need to verify and ask the right questions. Firstly, ask whether this product that you're investing in is licensed or it's authorized. Is the intermediary who's offering you this particular service, are they licensed? Are they still in good standing with the commission? Okay, so we issue licenses for that particular reason, to make sure that the people who are working in this market are fit and proper and are not stealing people's hard-earned money. So verify that the product is authorized, that the person is licensed, and that the company has got proper documentation before you give them your money. Okay, and also just do a lot of shopping before you can invest. The same way we go around shops to shop around for the best price, you can do the same, even with intermediaries. You can go and check what their services are. So do your verification before you can actually surrender your money to a particular...
That's the same with the brokers, where you can do your research on brokers. Okay, and with regards to just the verification process in itself, how long does it take for me to get confirmation from you that we recognize this entity as it being part of the capital markets, and you can go ahead and then invest in just that? How long is this process? Is it instant? Do I have to wait a couple of days, hours?
No, that one's instant, because it's just a phone call. We're just a phone call away. I mean, if you just pick up the phone and ask whether this product, this particular entity is licensed, that's instant. But then again, all the licensed institutions are listed on our website, so you can simply just double check there. If you're not certain, or you feel it's outdated or something, you can then give us a call, but we will be able to respond instantly.
Right. Let's go back to the film. And one of the things I recognized, one of the characters saying, is that planning and patience is equally important.
Yeah.
Let's talk about planning and patience, and why this is important than hoping for quick returns and making rushed investments.
Okay, so in order for you to make investments, you need to be very disciplined. Okay, it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of patience to make investments. Remember, investments do not grow overnight. It's a long-term process, especially that we're talking about capital markets. It's long-term. So capital markets are dealing with products that are long-term in nature, meaning even the investment that you're making is long-term in nature. It's not going to be an investment that one makes today and tomorrow you get your return. No, it's long-term. So meaning you need to be very disciplined, you need to be patient, you need to have a clear plan of what you want to achieve and where you want to go, what you want to get at the end of the day. So even as you are allocating your resources to particular assets, you will know what you are looking at. So a good plan is important.
Is this a common practice? And I ask this based off of the fact that we have seen a lot of fraudulent activity taking place where you have unauthorized institutions that are providing a specific product on, what they claim to be the capital market, but in fact, it is not. But would you say that this is a common practice that one would research thoroughly and plan and be more patient as compared to, rushing into investing?
Yeah, it's not very common. Why I say so is because of the number of fraud cases that we have. A lot of people are being defrauded simply because they're not patient enough and they want to jump onto schemes that are promising high returns in the shortest possible time. I don't think we're very patient people generally. So it's a culture that you need to change and a mindset shift that needs to happen for people to understand that investments are long-term. Okay, capital market is long-term because if you start today, for example, the time in the market not really guarantees you, but gives you a higher chance at growing that particular investment. So if you start today, tomorrow you come out, you won't see the benefit. But if you stay long term, as time is going, the investment also gets to grow.
What does long term look like? What are we looking at? Seeing that some Zambians are not as patient.
As patient.
Yeah.
So capital market products are all long term in that they are 12 months and above. So that's what it is. Anything above that is considered long term.
Right. And how are you also taking this information out? Something deliberate that you're doing to talk to investors that look, as you get into the capital market and you set up your system the way you want it to work for you, you need to bear in mind that
it's long term.
It's long term, and there's nothing short term. So long term is 12 months and above.
Yeah. So we are doing deliberate programs, like I mentioned, one of them being the National Capital Markets Debate, which is targeted at the youth. But we are not leaving the children out. We are also doing some programs with children in school, and we go to work with partners such as the Boosters, that's the business Teachers Association of Zambia, that's Boosters, and these are for secondary schools, and they help us also to just disseminate saving and investment principles, and also to teach that financial literacy from an early age, also just help inculcate a saving culture in the children in school. So we do work with them across the country. We also work with other partners that help us to just reach different target groups, because we understand that it's not just about the youth, it's about different target groups, so that we have a holistic message go to the rest of the country. Right.
Well, you're watching the Money Mysteries series, and in studio we do have our guest. She's the Manager of Financial Inclusion and Education from the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is Sitali Mugala, and our conversation is centered around you understanding investment basics, as well as how you can underscore on diversification within the capital markets. We've had a plethora of questions asking her just to help us understand more on this, but we take a quick break, and when we return, we still have more to discuss. We'll be right back.
Beware, scammers are getting smarter, and with mobile money and digital payments, it's easier than ever to fall for a fake deal. Don't get caught. Before you send money or invest, make sure you're dealing with a licensed financial service provider. Protect your money. Stay alert. Be a smart investor. This message is brought to you by the Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting investors in the capital markets.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us on the Money Mystery series, and our conversation is centered around investment basics and underscoring diversification. In studio, we have our guest, the Manager of Financial Inclusion and Education from the Securities and Exchange Commission. That is Sitali Mugala. Let's continue with this chat. And I know that we are a few minutes shy from closing off today's episode. I'd like to go back to the short film that we had watched a few moments ago. And my question is with relation to one of the scenes where the character mentions, one may not be a genius to invest successfully. Is this something that is true?
Yes, you don't necessarily have to be a genius to invest successfully. All you need to do is be well informed. Ask the right questions, okay? You have to ask the right questions, do your research, and be consistent as you are making your your investments. You also need to be very disciplined. And then another one also is don't chase complex investments. Only invest in something that you fully understand. So that's where the part of being a genius doesn't come in. For as long as you understand something, then you can go ahead and invest. If you don't understand, don't invest. You have to keep asking the right questions. Make sure it's not complex. It's something that is simple and easy for you to understand. And always research, like I said, research before you invest, and seek the help of a licensed advisor.
Right.
Yeah, you seek the help of it.
I would like to understand how would you describe the growth and the appetite from the Zambian people in wanting to invest onto the capital markets? Would you say that there's entirely been an improvement the last couple of years?
Oh yes, there has. So today we saw that the launch of the top line findings of the FinScope survey 2025, and from there we've seen that capital markets have grown. The FinScope survey for 2020 showed that only 0.6 people were participating in capital markets. 0.6% of Zambian adults were participating in the capital markets. We're now sitting at about 13.8%. So there's been growth. So we do believe we will continue doing the initiatives that we're doing, and also come up with more so that we increase that number even more, so that the capital markets is well known, and also we increase the participation in that market, in that space.
We have talked so much about more of this figure being a person or human being, but can conglomerates equally invest into the capital market?
Yes, so we can invest as a corporate investor. So even companies get to invest through funds and whatnot. So even them, they can invest.
And is the process similar, or it's completely different in terms of how
they invest?
You get to
no,
invest?
It's similar. It's similar. You simply approach the services of a broker or a fund manager, and
Would you say that this is something that can be treated as informal employment, one having to invest into the capital markets?
Informal employment. So really, when you're investing, you're making your money work for you, because you are putting your money so that it pays you later on. So you're keeping the money for yourself. So it can be some form of employment, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get to conclude with this. And one of the things that I would like you to comment on is how one can start, especially with small amounts. And one would think that when you talk about investment, you need to have this huge lump sum of money for you to get to see the benefits of it. But is it possible that you could start with something small and grow from there?
Yeah. So it's not restrictive. Most people do think that you need to start big. No, you can start small. We actually urge people to start small, because remember, we've got mobile platforms, and from your mobile platform, you're able to buy shares for as low as 100 kwacha. With whatever little amount that you have, youths using your mobile phone, you can invest. So start small. You build confidence over time. It should be a habit for you to keep saving, keep investing as a lifelong habit. So you scale up your investments bit by bit. It's like you're testing the waters. So you start with a little amount. Then once you are used and you've seen that, this water is not very deep, you can go in with large amounts as well.
As we conclude now, I would like for you to give us your last message, especially to anybody that is listening to this program, and why they should pay a visit to the Securities and Exchange Commission if their intentions are to invest in the capital markets.
Okay. So my last message to people is that capital markets are open for everybody. There's no restriction. Anybody can invest. You can start small. And like the topic for today was emphasizing diversification. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your investments. That way you mitigate your risk. And also, the Securities and Exchange Commission doors are open. If there's any more information that people need, they can come to us and we are able to attend to them.
Stali Mugala, Manager, Financial Inclusion and Education from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you, Justin, for having us.
Thank you. That's our conversation there. We're looking at investment basics and underscoring diversification. Our guest being able to give us more insight into why This is important. Why you should pay the Securities and Exchange Commission a visit today, because they will be able to help you and guide you if you're interested in investing in the capital markets. My name is Justin Mulenga. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the Money Mysteries. You can catch this very show again next week, Thursday, at exactly 5:30 p.m. Coming up at 18:45 hours is the main news desk, and that's something you might not want to miss as we give you the day's biggest news stories in detail. We thank you so much for joining us again.